Okay. Welcome back again. Some of you keep coming back time and time again, and I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to the subscribers, new and old. There aren't many of you, but thank you again. So, I keep doing that. So, you guys have no idea how much I cut that out of editing. I say that a lot, and I should stop saying that. One of the reasons is I don't speak from script. What's in the box? Let's get on with this. There are things in the box. 4-foot LED shop light. Bam. These last year, I used them on my seed starting station. If you've never seen that video before, I will link it someplace. So today, since it's raining out, if you couldn't tell from the intro, it's still raining, or it is raining outside. And today we're going to see if we can't complete setting this seed station up. I should have already started seeds. I haven't already started seeds because I don't have seed starting mix. I could make my own seed starting mix. That's a whole nother bag of worms. But I ordered seed starting mix to be here, and it's not here. And I ordered seed starting mix from Gardener's Supply. They said it was in stock. Said I got an order confirmation, but there's no seed starting mix here. It could just be taking a little longer. It might be here next week. I don't know. In the meantime, I have some Espoma seed starting mix coming from Amazon. Yes, and that should be here Thursday. So Thursday I can start planting up all the seeds that I'm supposed to be starting this week that I should have already started. But in the meantime, it gives me time to work on this. If you watched the prior video where I was setting this up, I was popping circuit breakers and there was other things going on. I discovered it was a GFI outlet. I replaced the GFI outlet and now everything should be a-okay, but I have a mess of wiring and heating pads and other things and light elements that I don't like, so I'm just going to start working on fixing all that up. And adding some light to the show, because who doesn't like more light? I've also gone, the last couple of episodes, I used a microphone that I had in my sweatshirt, and it was good and bad. I think the audio quality was a little better. I didn't have to shout, not that I'm shouting now, but I am talking a little louder because today I'm using a directional microphone, or omnidirectional microphone, which is pointing at me on top of the camera, mainly because I noticed that when I was working with the other microphone, the wireless one that clipped on, I was getting a lot of noise with me brushing against it, and so I had to do some audio chopping and elevating and blah 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 stuff you don't care about. So let's see, hopefully the audio is a little better today, and let's just get to it, right? If you've ever used panels like these, please let me know what your experience is or was with these. If you've used similar panels, they're not bad. I have grown things underneath them before. I just wasn't thrilled with them, and now I have an opportunity to do things a little different. The other thing that I do like about these, the shop lights, is the fact that I can plug one into another. So then I only have one plug to go into the power strip. So that's a plus, whereas the others I couldn't do that. And yeah, so I was looking at the last couple of videos that I did, and I said that this year I was mainly going to try to do vlog style, or more vlog style vloggy. And I was looking at the last couple of videos I did, and I was like, are they really vloggy, or is it just me talking about what I'm doing, and is that vloggy, and what is a vlog? I know what a vlog is, but I wanted to talk a little bit more here to you instead of just talking to you. I hope that some of that makes sense. And do these have the, yes, okay. So I can take one light and I can plug it into this right here. So that's an outlet. So that's one of the things that makes these lights nicer. So what I did with the other, I don't know if this is going to work, with the other light bars is I put them on these little rope pulley things so I can adjust the height of the light. So when the seedlings are younger or just trying to germinate, you can put the light down really low to them, and then as they get older and bigger, you can raise the light. This is important, I've discovered, and I've been told, and I have discovered it after being told, that something like tomatoes. So tomatoes, if you have the lights high, as the seeds germinate, flipping, beep, mother beep, son of a beep. Oh, I see the part of the problem. Ah. This is what I was fighting with, getting this hook through the holes. Okay, we're going to come back to this in a little bit. I seem to have lost the pulleys that I use for the lights, and I don't know where they are, and I could have sworn I had more, and I'm pretty sure I had more, and I really don't want to go to Amazon to order more, but in the meantime, I'll unpack the second light here and move on with my life. I found my pulleys. That's these things. This tank, trust me, pulleys. Also steel wool. This will come in important later. Just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, there's obviously like carabiner here, and then there's this, I don't know what you'd call this, turnbuckle, maybe, and it ratchets it, this carabiner, this end of the carabiner up. If I wanted to release it, there's a little lever, and then I can make the string longer. Thus, I can adjust the height of the light to be lower to the plant or further away from the plant, because you want the light to be further away so it doesn't burn the plant. Or at least that's what the experts tell me. That is actually true. Yeah, okay. If this video seems really choppy, it's because I edited out all the stupid stuff, or the bad stuff, or boring stuff. So, and let's go 1, 2, and like that, we have light. So let me do a close-up and show you what I did. So see how I routed it up, back, and over, which then allowed me to raise the whole light higher from the mats. So now I can lower the lights to the plants if I want, which I probably will, maybe not. We'll get to that point later. I could definitely now raise them to a height that I want, so then the plants don't get leggy. And I'm not sure if I explained the whole thing clearly enough, but you put the lights lower, the tomatoes, again, I'm going to use tomatoes in this instance, the tomatoes start growing up. If the light's too high, the tomatoes will strive for the light. As they strive for the light, they get what they call leggy, which is thin and wispy and if the light is closer, the tomato plants, and again I'm using it as an example, they don't have to struggle as much, so they don't grow as quickly straight upwards. So the stems have a better chance of growing thicker, and then the plants don't fall over all leggy and stuff. And that's a whole nother issue, and there's a whole slew of videos out there about leggy tomato plants and what you can do about them. Again, this applies basically for every plant out there. The other thing, as I mentioned, raising and lowering the lights, is you don't want the lights to be too close to the plants because that could burn the plants. I'm not sure if that would happen with LEDs. If you're an expert and you happen to be watching this, please let me know. Again, I don't know if the burn is so much from just an over intensity of the light or if it's from the heat of the lamp. Again, if you're an expert and you happen to know these things, please leave a comment below. Let's get back to this. So I turned the camera off to go take care of, well, get an extension cord, because then I had to do a thing and I got carried away doing the thing, so I didn't show you what I did the thing. And now let me show you what I did with the thing. So hold on. Okay, this is what I did with the thing. So I took a timer that I had for the seed starting station and I mounted it to the wall, and then I wound up plugging in the heating mats and the lights for this one, and that one. So I have 3 shelves ready to go theoretically. The lights aren't on because they're on the timer side, and the timer side I've yet to set. I will be setting that in the near future, but the heat mats are on, and this one is starting to feel warm already, which is good because I want the heat mats on 24/7 because we still have some cold nights and I am in a garage and want to keep the plants warm, or as warm as possible when the lights are off. So that's the few stations that I have set up. I still have to set that little one up, which I'll probably do right now. And then I have to go through a bunch of the pots and whatnot to prepare for what I'm going to do. Real quick, let me talk about some of the ways I'm going to start seeds, or how I'm going to grow and what I'm going to grow them in. This year I'm going to try something I've tried in the past, which I didn't like, and I don't actually have an example, but you all know what it looks like. A toilet paper roll. So I'm going to put a bunch of toilet paper rolls in a tray, like this one. So I'll fill the tray with toilet paper rolls, and I even have some paper towel rolls, which I'll be cutting in half to match the size of the toilet paper roll, so everything's nice and even, pretty. Fill it all with soil, put my seeds in, start growing them. If all goes well, I will then theoretically be able to take the plants out of the tray once they're ready and stick them directly into the ground, and voila, the toilet paper roll will disintegrate, eco-friendly. The other thing I'm going to use again, which I've used in the past, are these, closer here, galvanized seed starting trays. These are wonderful little things. They're sold by Gardener's Supply, and if I remember, I'll leave a link to that below. I've mentioned them before. They have these little cups. Now the cups have no bottoms. So what you do is you put all the cups into the tray, fill the tray with your soil, you put in your seeds, water, voila. Now, there are no holes on the bottom. I could put holes in the bottom, but I've not done it in the past, and I'm not going to do it this year for 2 reasons. One, the tray holds the moisture, which is good. The downside to the tray holding the moisture, the excess moisture, so whatever the plants don't drink up settles on the bottom. That's okay, because eventually the soil wicks it up. The plants will drink it. So you don't have to water these as much. But you have to be very, very, very careful not to overwater. Otherwise you wind up rotting out the roots of the plants, I presume. It makes sense. And that's not a good thing. The upside, once they're ready to go, you pull out each plug. There should be roots coming out of the bottom. They should be ready to go. You pop them from the bottom. You stick them in the ground. Bob's your uncle. And then once this is empty, you can go again. Small terracotta pots. So these are roughly the same size as those galvanized steel things. And I will fill a whole seed tray full of these little jobbies. Pluses and minuses to these. If you starting, they're eco-friendly, obviously, terracotta, lovely. So they retain some moisture, which is good, but they also have a tendency of sucking the moisture out of the soil into the terracotta, I've noticed. I noticed that last year. Last year was the first time I did that. So you have to keep the tray that they sit in fairly well watered, monitor them closely, because otherwise these things will just suck the moisture right out. Moisture will evaporate from the terracotta. Not a good thing. Plants will die. If I fill the whole tray with these, and then I water basically from the bottom, or not directly into the terracotta, but next to the terracotta. The terracotta will then wick up the moisture. The plants will wick up the moisture from the terracotta. Bob's your uncle, life is good. One of the reasons or thoughts I had of going with the terracotta was, how did they do it in Victorian times? How did they do it times before that? We didn't always have plastic. So plastic is versatile and wonderful in many ways. And I have lots of plastic pots. In fact, these I purchased off of Amazon 4 years ago. 4 years ago now. They are fairly thick, which is great, which means I can use them over and over and over again. I can get a pretty good sized plant out of this. So the downside is let's say I put a bunch of these in the black trays. I don't get as many plants. The upside is I get fairly large plants, or plants that can sit in the pots for long enough time until I'm ready to plant them out. You can get a substantial plant out of this pot before it becomes too root bound. Again, upside to plastic, you don't have to worry about sucking moisture out of the plant. It's an inert material. And again, if you purchase the right type, as I did, I can reuse these over and over and over again. So in a sense, it's a little eco-friendly because they're not automatically going into the landfill. Sometimes when you go to a garden center and you purchase a plant, it comes in a very flimsy plastic pot which crumbles in your hand as you're trying to take the plant out, and then you have to throw it out. These last over, like I said, 4 years, and I can see getting easily another 4 years out of these, if not longer. So these have their versatility, their place. What I may wind up doing long term to replace those as they begin to fail is use these galvanized pots. Now these galvanized pots have a little plastic plug on the bottom, so you can take the plug out, and then they will drain like a regular pot. They're inert material, so much as like the plastic pot, they won't suck the moisture obviously out like a terracotta. The downside to this giant plug is it's a giant plug. So typically when I put something in here, a la soil, I will put a piece of paper towel, something that's biodegradable as it were, into the bottom. It retains the soil, so none of the soil comes spilling out of the bottom, but allows for drainage. And then wipe them out and reuse them again next time. I will attempt or try to do starter trays again. I've done it. I did it last year. So essentially, I take a small tray. Let's say something like this. Now these have holes in them, which is okay. And what I would typically do is put this tray inside a larger black tray, so any excess moisture goes out onto the tray and not all over the floor or the seed starting station. Fill the whole thing with soil. Sow your plants. Once the plants are sown and once they get large enough, after you've gone through the process of thinning them out, etc., you can take those plants and you can transplant them into bigger pots, maybe like the plastic pots or the galvanized pots. Or again, if they're depending upon what they are, perhaps maybe want to stick them into something like a larger terracotta pot if it's a decorative flower or something, you plan on putting it in that anyways. The other thing I'm going to try this year is recycling, or upcycling as the hip cool kids like to call it on the interwebs, a Swiffer tray. So many of you may have seen or know what this is. Basically the mopping Swiffer pads come in a tray like this. It's a small tray, and it's just a little too big to go this way. So, but it can go that way. So that's not going to be very efficient, but I will still try to use these. And what I may wind up doing is putting a few holes in the bottom, and again, filling it with soil, sowing my seeds, letting it grow. Total experiment. If I can find a way to successfully upcycle these, that's awesome. I have a couple of dogs which tend to make a mess on the floor, so we go through a lot of these a year. Upcycle, or recycle, or whatever you want to call it. I have used these in the past with mixed success. I've learned what to not use, and before I get into these, I'll tell you what not to use. Coir pots. C-O-I-R. They're pots made from the husks of coconuts, which is great. So that's recycling that material. It's a natural material. It's renewable. La 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 la. They don't break down. They're just these messes, and as they kind of get wet, they start to fall apart, and I don't like them. No, sir, I don't like them at all. I like coir, however you pronounce it. I like that material. I use it in the ground. I've mixed it into other things. It's good for potting mediums, but for seed starting, no. So instead, cow pots. So essentially these pots are made out of cow manure. Yes, that sounds absolutely disgusting, but they have no smell and they've been totally sterilized. Essentially what they do is they collect the cow manure, they turn around, they process it through a whole long thing. Discovery Channel did a thing on it with Micro and Dirty Jobs years ago. It's actually quite fascinating, but it's all sterilized. Essentially, you wind up with this material that then can be molded into pots in the end. The pots will break down, it'll improve the soil, blah, 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 blah. You cannot keep or should not keep your seedlings in these pots for too long for several different reasons. One, the roots will start growing out of the pots. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but that's definitely a sign for them to go into the ground. Two, these pots will start to disintegrate so fairly quickly. If you keep them overly damp, they will start to disintegrate fairly quickly. So then when you go to handle them, they start crumbling in your hands, and that's never a good thing. But I have gotten pretty good success with these. I've also purchased, now I did mention these large black plastic trays. These plastic trays are not very environmentally friendly, so if you're worried about destroying the environment, stay away from the black plastic trays. But if you do get black plastic trays, or pink or purple or blue, because they are made in different colors, get the thickest ones you can so that you can use them over and over and over and over again, so that they're not going into a landfill. If the trays start to fall apart on you, perhaps put one inside of another, so again makes them more durable and you can use them over and over again. I also have these smaller trays with holes in them. So when I first started getting into gardening, I kind of saw something like this and I went, ooh, isn't that great? Essentially, the smaller tray fits into the larger tray. I don't know if you can see that there. There we go. I think you can see that now. You fill it up with your medium, you sow your stuff in there, they grow, prick them out, put them into other things. You can put two side by side. And here's the wonderful thing, you can lift them out, fill the tray with water since there's no holes in the tray, and then put it in. Draws the water up from behind, from the bottom, Bob's your uncle. If my experiment with the toilet paper rolls goes well, I'll eventually be getting rid of these. This is a seed tray that you turn around and it has these wonderful things. I've mentioned all this before in my other videos. It has these wonderful little sleeves. Essentially, you close the sleeve up, you stick it into the tray, your plants grow, you pull this out, you open the clamshell, take your plants out, stick it in the ground, reuse this. I've used these primarily for my sweet peas in the past, and I'll probably continue to use them again for the sweet peas. They are starting to get fragile and fall apart. Toilet paper rolls that I plan on using for other seed starting work out very well. If that does, that's the way of the future. That is what I will do with all of my plants that need deep roots, or that I'd like to have deep roots. So for instance, the sweet pea that I mentioned before, apparently if you grow them in something like this and they grow their roots very deep, they have a better chance of success once you plant them into the ground. I'm sure that there's other people with other methods or other things. I will use this until it is no longer usable, and then again hopefully replace it with the toilet paper rolls. Labeling your plants, I don't know about you guys or what you may do, but I use these little plastic white labels to label my plants, what's growing in what tray. Downside is they're plastic. The upside is they're plastic, so they don't rot and fall apart. I've used wood labels before, and I'm going to try another pack of wood labels this year from a different manufacturer. The plastic labels you can reuse over and over and over and again. And I learned this trick from Monty, Don, Gardener's World, who probably learned it from someplace else, But essentially you take a little bit of steel wool, hold on a hard surface. So you take the steel wool, plastic label, rub it back and forth. And then you wind up with a clean label that you can then reuse again and again and again, until you sanded too much away and then you have to throw it away. But hopefully your local area has a recycling program and you could toss it in the recycle bin, and that would be a good thing. So just to show you again, and it's gone. If you get super energetic, you could polish it clean so it's totally white. This I haven't gotten the fully off. There's a little bit left there, but I could use the other side, which is wonderful. And again, I can reuse this over and over and over again until the plastic comes too thin or fragile. I have to clean a lot of those labels. I have to wire up the station. That's what I'm going to do with the remainder of my day, and I don't think you guys want to watch any of that. It's quite dull and boring, but we've talked more about the seed starting station. Hopefully the next video will be me planting stuff up. So I'll bring you guys along for that trip. We got the 10-week seeds that need to go in. I can't remember what all of them are off the top of my head. Actually, I can't remember what any of them are. So they will be started first, my 10-week seed packet pile. We'll get them planted up, get them started, get the timers set, and yeah, that's it for today. Please, if you have any comments, if you have any questions whatsoever, leave them below. Unless you're going to say something mean or super nasty, then don't do that. But if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. I post up fairly regularly, almost daily, and as the season gets going more and more, I'll probably be posting up daily, if not 2 to 3 times a day, because there'll be lots to show. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, I keep saying this, please hit the subscribe button. It lets me know that you're out there, that you're following the channel. Please tell your friends, families, neighbors, grumpy old guy down the street that I have this goofy channel, and I think that's about it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.